Hi, welcome to Nutshell Recap. Continuing the story, Full Moon Alchemist, the boy named Pearl Grow Glunn, had the actual age of 27, a noble from the eastern continent who was once called the Bloodthirsty Grand Duke. But 5 years ago, his rivals put a curse on him that made him a boy. And ever since then, he's been traveling the world searching for the wizard that will dispel the curse off of him. However, the threats never stopped. The boy dragged the sick man by his hair to a large tree. The man's head banged into the tree trunk heavily. Glunn pressed his knees on the man's chest and asked him sternly, "Still thinking about keeping your job? I assume you were ordered to follow and kill me if you get the chance to." The man coughed in pain. No, I wasn't." But Glunn slapped him. "Shut your mouth and do not say a word. The only reason I'm letting you go is because you aren't a trained assassin." His eyes turned dangerously sharp. "That's the only reason I'm giving you a chance. Now go back to your family, or else I'll cut your throat myself." Hearing it, the man cried bitterly and pleaded, "But please, show mercy. I'll go home right away. I took the job for the money. I'm sorry." Seeing him crying and begging for mercy, Glunn had become more assured in this doubt, as expected. But this man was probably just a decoy. There's definitely a real one, which brings down to that alchemist. Well, Glunn was wrong about this. Enid was just a passerby. But Glunn's mind was imagining many things. An alchemist wandering this deep into the mountains? Ridiculous. And look at his face. This face is totally imagined by Glunn. He was wary of Enid. This must be a honey trap. How did they find out about my sexual orientation? After years of being chased by enemies, mistrust for humans has become a natural instinct for him. The narrator requests that you please like and subscribe if you are listening. Meanwhile, back to Enid. He was worried about the sick man. I hope he's okay. He was dragging the other unconscious traffickers while looking in Glunn's direction. He's probably going to suffer even more if I step in. He thought, there's nothing new to a noble treating a commoner like trash. At that moment, Glunn paused, and then he glanced back to Enid. Enid instantly turned his face to the man he was dragging, thinking, did I stare for too long? Glunn looked at him sidelong. I sensed someone watching me all along. He's already started making moves. Enid image in Glunn's point of view was shy and soft. He's cute, but I'm not going to fall for it. He called him, "Hey, you." Then he stepped towards Enid. "Take me to town. You said you were going to hand them over to the guards, right?" Enid replied while dragging the man. "Well, yes, I did, but..." Then he pointed to the sick man. "Let's wait until that man wakes up." But Glunn said, "I think he's fine." But seeing the man's condition, he sighed. "Well, all right, I'll wait." While Enid looked at him with a poker face. What a mean little boy. While Glunn had his eyes closed, he could sense that Enid was looking at him. He never stopped sending signs. While Enid was also examining him. He's definitely a weird kid. Even for a noble. What's the meaning of him showing up in the mirror? He wondered. Well, anyway, Enid told him to get some rest. You had a rough day yourself, so rest a bit. Glunn agreed and peeked at him. When Enid was finally done with binding those traffickers, he sighed in relief, and the trio started their journey. The sick man tentatively asked Enid, excuse me, where are we? I think it's pretty remote here." Enid chuckled and replied, "Yes, it is. The place we are currently in is called Solt, an independent territory." Glunn was surprised. An independent territory? Enid glanced at him and answered, It's a land where the feudal lord can declare his own law. Simply put, it's a place so remote that the king doesn't give a damn. Hearing it, Glunn frowned. This is worse than I thought. The man peeked at Glunn and requested Enid, um, excuse me, but I'd like to get back home as fast as possible. I've heard that you can use spells. Can you do any teleportation magic? But Enid denied. I'm sorry to tell you, but teleporting is forbidden by the law. The man was surprised to hear it. Why? I think it's going to be convenient. Enid was embarrassed while answering. The thing is, there were multiple accidents where parts of the body were teleported into different places. So, just stick with regular transportation. The guards will help you if you tell them your situation. The sick man felt even more sick hearing all of this. Okay, I'll just do that. After walking for so long, they finally reached the security office. While both the sick man and Glunn sat on the bench, Enid recounted the whole incident to the officer. The officer adjusted his spectacle to his nose. So, what you're saying, that you've captured a group of slave merchants, and those people in the black are the slaves you freed. Is that right? Enid replied, Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. But the officer didn't believe him at all. Slave merchants? Do they still exist? This isn't the medieval age. Enid was frustrated but still politely said, I know, so please take care of it right away. At that moment, another officer popped in. What? Slave merchants? He was suspicious of Enid. You took out 3 slave merchants on your own? With what? You don't look like a warrior. And then he glanced at him up and down. Seeing their behavior, Enid made his signature poker face. With magic, I put them to sleep. They got even more suspicious. Magic? You said you were an alchemist? Enid then explained them patiently. Magic and alchemy both share similar logic. That being said, with proper technique, both can be learned. But that officer made an uninterested face, seemingly bored. Oh, really? I've never heard of that before. Then he scolded him. Hey, quit playing around. What are you after? I've heard of bounty fraud before. Now Enid had enough of it. A fraud? No, I'm a certified alchemist from the National Academy. At first, Glunn was getting bored and drowsy that why was it taking so long? But the last sentence woke him up. He was shocked. National Academy? He wondered. Meanwhile, Enid took out his golden card. Here, check my license. It was really a gold card. Glunn's eyes went wide. That's the symbol of a top-class alchemist. On the other hand, those officers were being ridiculous. What is this brown piece of wood? Hearing it, Enid slapped the table. What? This isn't a piece of wood? Look closely, he shouted at them. Meanwhile, Glunn was in deep thought. He was having a hard time digesting the information. No, he must be lying. I've never heard of a top-tier alchemist of that age. That must be a fake card for cover-up. Well, that card was 100% authentic. But Glunn still thought that Enid must have been trained if he were to disguise himself as a top-tier alchemist. If only I can get him to be on my side, he thought. While on the officer's side, they finally remembered that he was the young man who had moved in a few years ago by the forest and then only believed him after so much effort. Enid felt tired and sighed in relief. Finally. Then gestured to the sick man, Come over here and write down your addresses. The man hurriedly dashed over. At last, thank you. Now Enid reached Glunn and said, Hey, you should also go and fill that in. But the boy firmly denied, No thank you, I'm good. I got someone coming for me. Enid bent over to sit beside him. Oh, really? When will they be arriving? Glunn replied confidently, It will take some time. Enid sat on the bench and glanced at him while thinking, Hmm, I think he's lying. What should I do? A violent noble boy is the last thing I need in my life, but leaving a kid by himself is against my conscience. Enid was in dilemma. Besides, if I let him go now, I'll never be able to find out what the potion can do, why he was shown in the mirror. Then he finally made the decision, well, all right, let's take him home. After that, he called that boy and asked, Hey, want to stay at my place while you wait? Glunn glanced at him. At his place? He thought of considering the proposal. Please like and subscribe for more. See you guys in the next video. Have a good day ahead. Bye.